Good morning, everybody. So, we're just applying a little yeso on our painting. You got to seal your canvas, otherwise that way it won't dry up on you. I'm taking out the run marks. I already put the first coat on here. Not going to bore you with the whole thing. If you get a fleck of something on there, you better get rid of it. Now's the time. So anyways, yesterday, those of you that don't know, yeso, focus it. It doesn't want to focus. I'm not going to bore you with it. Yeso, spelled G-E-S-S-O. It's to seal your canvas. Not that I'm like artiste extraordinaire, but I give it my best shot. So, yesterday I'm on Ironclad, and apparently one of my fans was on there and it put in a thing that said they ought to interview me. And there's some disparity between how many channel views is listed on my channel and how many I got in my YouTube studio thing, and I'll post the difference. But I'm around 20,000 now, over closing in on 18 to be exact. I had like 12,000 views this month, man. I don't know how that happened. But anyways, I pick up this hater, dude. And first of all, he says that I blocked him in a live chat conversation on Ironclad's channel. And not that this is all drama. It's not. This is actually going to a direct, diamond sharp point, where the guy accuses me of, hey, Jimmy, get out of here. Get. You don't have to be involved in everything, man. The cat. The guy accuses me or asks me when the last time I worked for a government, when he's never worked for a government. And I'm sitting there on the comment section. I've been very critical of Vincent Vargas, Katerina Schultz, Ed Calderon. Just this morning I'm watching Gafe423, who has emailed me. You can sit in there, buddy. There you go, Gafe423. And if we go in here and go to this, Gafe423 is actually emailing back and forth with me. So, that being said, a little bit of coffee. The guy asked me when the last time I ever worked for the Mexican government was. And I was working for the Mexican government after Ed Calderon was, right off the bat. And I'm glad that this guy's calling out my credibility or whatever. I've presented my credibility to people that have been in my home doing stuff to other people. I've got all of my credentials. The guy's asking me my name and my birth date. And I'm glad all this stuff's coming out, because in previous videos, I've given you my entire name. I gave you the entire dates of when and where I worked, who I worked for. And this guy's like a newbie to my channel. And I've got this guy just lighting up. I know it's not focusing, but you can go on to the videos and see. He's lighting up my entire comment section with question after question asking me who I am. But he's lighting me up. Who are you? What's your date of birth? What's your first and last name? Sarah. And so, yesterday I posted a video. It's got my email on there. I have a Gmail account here. It's listed on a lot of my videos. He doesn't crickets to that. He's upset because I've got a Czech Republic email account as a backup in case other people want to get in touch with me. First and last name. Okay. I've put it out there on a previous video. I've also got all my documents and my credentials from working in Mexico. I've got my carta de comisión, my commission letter with my orders, where I was, what I was doing, who I was doing it for, and what I was doing, and a reference letter when I left that corporation, government corporation. And so I'm curious how it is, because it's killing me. You're all up in me about my first name, my last name, my date of birth, etc., etc., etc. But after 10 years, none of you can tell me Ed Calderon's maternal last name. And he's talking to our congressman. And in Mexico, you use your paternal and your maternal last name. I'm up on Ironclad's video challenging Ed, Vincent, and Katerina directly. And I'm getting lit up with all this flack about, hey, what's your first and last name? I'm glad you asked, because it just so happens right here, I've got my birth certificate. I'm not going to show it to everybody because I'm not going to be a victim of identity theft. But if you have the means to meet me, I will show you in person. I gave Gafe 423 my phone number. I might have left it in one of the videos. I got to be careful about that because I was looking into the security aspects of it. And it's just, I'm not going to open myself up to financial ruin to behoove you. But my first and last name, Dave Frank, okay? We clear? Super clear. Dave Frank. So there's that. When did you work for the Mexican government? Between May 2012 and September of 2016. Those dates aren't going to change. Just yesterday, I was watching Manifesto Radio, and I gotta say, I like that episode with the guy that was a gang member that became a Green Beret. We have similar stories. Not that I became a Green Beret, but I like that episode. I don't dislike Ed. I do have a problem with people that won't put some information out there when they're directly asked. I'm not giving you my date of birth. You ask where I work, there it is. You ask my first and last name, there it is. My issue with you people out there, my detractors, are the people that are cheerleaders for Ed, Katerina, and Vince, is first of all, Ed said that he refuses to wear a suit when he's going to do an interview. He says it in this thing because he was standing next to the governor of Baja California del Norte. It's just called Baja California, not Del Norte, but just to distinguish for our American friends from the United States, because they take issue with that in Spanish too. I'm not going to, whatever. That's my first and last name. Ed's not ever given out his maternal last name, so it makes it difficult to pinpoint him down in a country that requires that you use both names. And he says it's for security purpose. I don't know if he said that or not, but his cheerleaders have certainly said that. So I ask myself, I'm like, well, if you're that worried about security, you're not doing YouTube channels. Gafe 423, Jonathan Campos. I gave him enough information to burn me, dude. I've got the emails right there to prove it. Every question that you're asking me in my videos, I'm going to leave your comments because I want people to see them. What you did for me, you did me a favor. You did me a favor because everything that you're asking me, that I'm clearing up right now, again, because I've already done it on subsequent videos, is the same thing I've been asking these guys for years. I don't block you on my channel, dude. I'm blocked on Ed's channel. I've called Vincent, emailed him on his show, called their show over across the country. I think they're in North Carolina, if my memory serves me correctly. It's back east. And I get crickets from all these people who are supposedly trying to find out the truth on the cartels in this country. And then you go on to tell me that I ran about all this stuff. Hey, I'm in a position where I earned my Mexican uniform. I've had it on other videos. I'm not going to go grab it right now just to behoove you. Or just to appease you, rather. But I am going to say that I've earned my uniform. I was there, you weren't. I'll prove it and put my money where my mouth is. You can't. I gave you my first and last name, Dave Frank. In fact, I was born on a day and then didn't have a name for almost 2 years. Pets get named faster than I did. I never once suckled for my mom. I was given away in an illegal adoption the day I was born, right? My mother smoked pot with Charles Manson. Her best friend, Debbie Braun, lived in Simi Valley. My mother lived in the San Fernando Valley area of Los Angeles, and they were hitchhiking back and forth. Charles Manson lived up on the Spahn Ranch. He lived there because there was George Spahn who owned the ranch, and he had access to all these hippie chicks, and the owner dug on that type of thing, so they let Charles Manson live there. When my mom was hitchhiking to Debbie Braun's house with Debbie, because they were going back there, lo and behold, who picked him up but Charles Manson, and of course 2 hippie chicks in 1969. Loved in late 1968, loved to smoke pot and do acid, and so my grandmother found out. This is just my story. Ooh, Nosferatu. You're gonna like this one. So, I don't have to rehearse or look at notes on any of this stuff, man. That's my background. That's where I came from. Ed's going from a background where he's trying to become a doctor, right? And then he's going to Universidad Autónoma de Baja California, probably, if you're going to medical school there. And then he drops out all of a sudden to become the least honorable and prestigious career that you can have in Mexico. Being a cop or a federal agent or a state agent or military in Mexico is looked down on like you got no idea. It is basically the bottom rung job that you can get in Mexico. Selling tacos garners more honor and respect than being law enforcement or military in Mexico, straight up. When my wife and I got married, she was upset because I was a factory manager previously, in charge of machining and engineering for a major international company, and I quit to make $600 a month. And on our marriage certificate, I wanted to put that I was an agent. And this guy's telling me that I said somewhere I was in the military. I never said that. I said I was trained by GAFE Special Forces, which I was not a member of the Mexican military. I was an agent for the Mexican government in a law enforcement capacity, being a bodyguard also part of the time. But getting back to Ed. Ed's on his last video that he's published like 9 days ago, talking about he won't wear a suit during an interview. And this isn't a beat on Ed or haranguing Ed video. It's totally not. Even if it sounds like it. What it is an attempt to get to the truth. Ed says that he wore a suit for 3 years. And as such, Ed's crossed himself up a lot of times in a lot of his videos. And Katerina, being 24 years old, is now an international cartel expert. And Vincent Vargas, being a Green Beret that goes on to become BORTAC or whatever. You never worked on the Mexican side of the border. And if you had, it certainly wasn't several hundreds of kilometers inside the interior of the country, which I did do. And Katerina, your little nail salon attendant, and Ed, your little dog groomer, writing up stories on you on Twitter or YouTube or whatever it was, I forget at this point. That doesn't lend any credibility to either one of your guys' stories. So every question this guy's asking me, then I am answering right now. And he keeps bringing up this Sam Cooke guy. My issue's not with Sam Cooke. My issue is with Vincent Vargas, how he's some renowned cartel expert working on the American side of the border. I'm not disputing his expertise with Green Berets or even with BORTAC. I am disputing his ability to actually know about what's going on in the interior of the country of Mexico. Same with Katerina. Seems like Vince has got this penchant for Canadians lately. Katerina, who don't even have police guarding their ports in Victoria or Vancouver, British Columbia. But they're somehow cartel experts? The chick graduated college in 2022 or whatever it is. She's 24 years old. And in less than 2 years, while she's writing stories on wildfires and sheriffs in in British Columbia and Alberta. All of a sudden, she goes to Mexico. Zero Mexican professional connections with any major Mexican news agency or governmental agency that's in charge of security or military in the country. None. Zero pictures of her out on a convoy with an armed convoy in Mexico, proving that she is who she says she is. She's out there running around on a tourist visa, probably. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Definitely not in the country as a naturalized Mexican or married to a Mexican citizen. Any of that. Ed states that he's wearing a suit for 3 years next to a governor, Osuna, which I've looked into, and I can't find Ed in any one of the background pictures. I see the rest of Osuna's security detail, but I don't see Ed. You know what else I don't see? These people are saying that I'm cosplaying with all my photos. Am I cosplaying any more than any other military member is cosplaying when he's posting photos of him and his brothers while they're at work in Afghanistan? No, I'm not. That uniform, it's mine. That Mexican flag that's on my sleeve, on my mangueta, that's mine. Or manga, not mangueta. Mangueta's hose, manga's sleeve. So, getting into all my stuff. I'm shooting from the hip here, right? My mother, I told you about what she was up to. I didn't go home. I didn't get a name until January of 1972. If I had any problems or issues with the government, I wouldn't put that out there. I don't have anything to hide. I had Mark Gagnon here in my home. And that's what it is. So my question to Ed this morning, after listening to his podcast, probably at I think I was listening to it about 2:30 in the morning. He says he won't wear a suit because he spent 3 years in a suit right next to Osuna. I can't find him in any one of the photographs surrounding Osuna when Osuna's doing public events. You can go look yourself. So my question is, if Ed says that he was law enforcement in Mexico for 10 years, and if I did it for slightly less time than Ed did, and I've got all these pictures with people and with my brothers, I've done interviews with my brothers. Where are Ed and all of his pictures? All he's got is a recycled picture of him standing in front of some training helicopter that I'm assuming is probably in San Diego. Because Jeff Bramstedt, when I called him, a Navy SEAL, did know of Ed and said that he's referred to as a kook. I've got the phone call for my detractors on one of my videos. You guys have already listened to it. I don't need to be the most handsome man. I don't need to come across as the most sane, lucid. Hey, gringos that wind up packing a machine gun for the Mexican government with SDN, just like Ed likes to say on his Mexican Spanish-speaking thread post or forums. That's what he says. It's on there. You can go look it up. It's under Joyimbo or Yojimbo. He posts under both. I've done my homework, man. I came loaded for bear. Katarina Schultz. Now, before I dig into you, we'll put Ed to bed. Ed says that he was standing next to a governor in a suit for 3 years. He's got one picture of it that I can see. One. Where he's standing next to two people. But in the rest of those 7 years, during the same time I was working, right? And even slightly previous, he states that he spent 7 years doing normal police work. And he doesn't have any pictures of him on patrol in the back of a truck with his buddies or anything. There's none, zero. There's one picture of him standing in a blue uniform somewhere. Just one. And you know, I'm calling bullshit on it. And not only that, his lack of accent to me is going to be suspicious till the end of time. So when I get my haters, and I'm starting to get one, I just graduated. I got my first hater. Woohoo! Yeah. I'm glad that I got you, man. You're doing me a favor. Because every single thing that you asked me that I answered immediately in the comment section, I'm putting out here, and if I was unreal, if I was untruthful, I wouldn't give you my first and last name. I don't have a maternal last name to use in this country that we use to identify ourselves. In Mexico, it's a requirement. In fact, in Mexico, a lot of times, they would use my middle name and my last name because you are required to have two last names in Mexico. Ed won't put it out there. He'll put Lezola Perez's, the Teniente Colonel, he says. He'll cross himself up with, they have had one AR-15 and one AR chambered in 9mm his very first night on patrol. But the next day on patrol, in one of his videos, he's talking about grabbing a 40mm grenade launcher. It doesn't make sense, man. So, hey, getting back to my mom and my story, I was given away in an illegal adoption the day I was born. Never went home from the hospital with my mom. She finally got me back a year or two later because the people that had me was her doctor and lawyer in San Francisco. My original name was Michael Pelican, and apparently they were beating me or whatever. She got me back for whatever reason. I don't know. I was a baby, but didn't go home. So that's a little bit about my background. Grew up in a turbulent environment with Bloods and Crips. Became a skinhead because 6 Crips beat me up. Took my skateboard. I went back to school the next day. I brained the dude that was responsible for it with a bat. And it set me down a very predictable course in LA, which is riddled with gangs and all kinds of stuff. And Ed's guest, respect to that dude. A lot of people turn their training and stuff around into a security company. I have no interest in training billionaires on how to more effectively do CQB or anything along those lines, even if it does cost me money. I went from making almost $100,000 a year for Triumph, and you guys can look it all up, to making $600 a month for the Mexican government. It was actually 11,500 some odd pesos, and then because I worked directly for my general, I would make an extra 8,000 pesos a month in what's called viáticos. And a lot of times you didn't even get that. So my work shifts were 43 hours straight with 5 hours off every 2 days at the most. And that's equivalent of 17 hours of break time a week. Regular military got more time off than we did. So this guy that's lighting me up over Sam Cooke and his book or whatever, you go right ahead. I am who I am. I did what I said I'm going to do. I had a uniform. Whether you did or didn't is immaterial. This isn't your channel. Also, I want to say something. He's talking about you're desperate for views. I sat on my story for several years after I got out. There were several reasons for that. One of them, first and foremost, is security. Not just for myself, but for my family. Now it's been a little while, and I feel a little bit more comfortable about talking about it. 2, there's things that go on at work down there where, and I've talked about it in other videos, where you'll get like 20, 25 years for murdering somebody. If you have a deprivation of human rights, you're looking at 30, 40, 50 years. There's other things too that go on. And you know what? Gafe 423, I'd love to know his maternal last name too. And anyone that's got a major YouTube channel at this point, it's really hard to say that you're really concerned about security when you're turning yourself into a public persona in what is arguably one of the most dangerous trades in the world. And so when I've got myself in Mexico, my accent and my face already stick out like a sore thumb. And to be honest, my ex-wife abandoned my daughter in Russia. She came back to the United States, and she lived in the United States and has lived in the United States ever since. And my daughter, to this day, who is now well over 18, has lived in Russia ever since. And this is kind of how I wound up in the Bering Sea. Or not the Bering Sea, that was previous. In Mexico. And I've been working in the Bering Sea, wound up in Russia. And then wound up having a daughter. Ex left the daughter in Russia. came back to the United States. I was training at Gokor Chivichians in North Hollywood. Got a little bit of cauliflower ear. You can look at it. It was worse. It's gone down over the time. I'm not training as hard as I used to. But I was training at Gokor Chivichians, and I get a phone call from my ex-wife's American cell. And in Russia, you use Beeline as the main company in Russia. I don't have to rehearse any of this because I'm not making any of it up. And she gave me a call from her American cell phone. I went down to Mayor Tom Bradley International Airport at LAX, picked her up in my Ford Bronco, and my daughter wasn't there. And obviously, that's how I wound up fighting drug cartels in Mexico, because she wouldn't bring my daughter back. And I've talked about this before. So, to my haters, my questions. What my first and last name is? Dave Frank, right? When did I work for the Mexican government? May 2012 to September 2016. For a period of just over 5 years, okay? You can do the math. I'll wait for you to figure it out. While I was there, I'm clearly an American. I speak English. I'm not pretending to be a Mexican that's an American. And I'm down there doing everything I said that I'm doing. Not cosplaying. The fuck out of here, dude. Shouldn't cuss, but I mean, really, that's kind of cosplaying. I've heard that 2 or 3 times. My pictures and stuff like that over the years, making comments online. They never use it for the American military. Are they cosplaying? I mean, you know what? I don't give a flying F word what you think about my service. I went down there and did it for my own purposes. So, just like with the Crips that wanted to take my skateboard, I'm going to do things my way, man. I'm honest. I have integrity. I'm sitting here making this video addressing your concerns right now, and I don't block you. And I am completely correct in calling out Vincent Vargas, Katerina Schultz, Ed Calderon, Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan. Tommy G actually emailed me back, but then stopped emailing me back. Prager University, Julian Dory. I've got the whole list. Johnny Mitchell, blah, 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 blah. The other guy up there in Oregon, J.D. Delane, or whatever his name is. I've gone down the entire list. And almost without exception, I get 0 calls back. And I'm going to figure out, is it something about me, or is it just because I'm building a new channel? The guy tells me I'm desperate for views. You're not telling that to Vincent Vargas, Katerina Schultz, or Ed Calderon. And they're making money off this. I'm not making anything. I've got 2 jobs that I do. Plus, I'm doing this on top of it. Plus, I'm going to school. Right there on the email that you saw a University of the People thing. I'm enrolled right now doing courses every day. I barely sleep. But you're telling me that I'm desperate for views because you don't like me asking the same questions you're asking me that I'm actually answering, but these fools won't. And when I say fools, I mean they're not fools. It's actually a disrespectful term. And I am saying it a little disrespectfully because when someone that has been there and done that asks someone that hasn't been there and done that, or asks someone that says they've been there and done that in the same uniform, and none of them will answer your questions, the camera stopped automatically. I'm well within my rights to be like, hey, why don't you substantiate or validate what you're saying? Because that doesn't sound correct to me. And when these people will sit there and they'll send in photos of, or post photos, whatever, who knows where they're getting this video, but you know what I know the cartel's not doing? They're not giving up their trade secrets that they spent millions of dollars to put in place in Canada just so some Polish chick with blue eyes and a decent face can have a looky-loo. They're not going to risk their income that way. Flat out. In fact, they'll kill people for even knowing about it. They've killed for less. So, this thing, they kill Mexican journalists all the time. I've talked about that before too. So this idea that these outsiders are just going to go in and all of a sudden have all kinds of insider information. Lex Fridman, that's another one. And I just watched someone hammer him the other day. presenting himself as some type of like crazy MIT research scientist or whatever, professor. He gave one voluntary class there. There was some stuff about that guy's podcast I didn't like. But there are people that will represent themselves a certain way, trying to portray themselves as something that they're not. And I'm not overstating my service. I'm not overstating or understating anything that I've done. And I needed to make this video today. It's not a rant. It's me asking the same questions that people just asked me. With the difference being, I'm making a video saying exactly the answer to your question. I can go through every single one of your comments right now. There's probably, I think you and I talked for about an hour and a half last night. Your main thing, you were stuck on me badgering Sam Cooke about his book or whatever the dude's name. I'm not. I'm calling out Vincent Vargas, calling out Joe Rogan, Sean Ryan, Katarina Schultz, Ed Calderon. And it's the same people I've been calling out since I made this channel 8 months ago. And in my videos on the channel, it says I've got something like 10,000 views. On my YouTube studio, it says I've got like 18,000 views and had 11,000 views this month. My channel's not monetized at all. I've only got 93 subscribers. And having earned that uniform. Oh, someone else. This is something else you said. I'm going to address this too. You called me a cartel cheerleader. Let's just get something clear. Unlike Vince, unlike Katarina, and maybe unlike Ed, I don't know, I went down there with this face and this accent, put on a Mexican uniform in a country that was foreign to me, a language that was foreign to me, and put my bacon on the line personally, where I could have been kidnapped or killed in any moment, and had several times where I didn't know if I was going to make it home at the end of the day because of cartel or even because of my own co-workers. So we'll just get that clear right now. Call me a cartel cheerleader. Ha! You got a lot of balls, dude. Calling someone a cartel cheerleader and you've never shown up and been shot at or shot at someone, either way, but you're going to sit here and act like you have a right to say something about it. And that goes for Katarina Schultz and Vincent Vargas, too. Neither one of them have been shot at in Mexico in violence or anger or have been in an aggressive confrontational circumstance or situation with the cartel. And I have. And my brothers have. And Mexican journalists have. But you haven't. Not one of you. And Ed, you emailed me or you Facebook messaged me a couple times on Facebook Messenger way back when you're setting up Ed's Manifesto. Your news agency that you got that supports all your stuff magically was made at the same time your Manifesto Instagram Facebook account was put up, the whole thing, all in 2016, right? And then I don't know how you're working high-speed drug cartel stuff, but giving knife seminars in Chicago or close to Chicago in 2015 and even earlier in 2013, 2012. I've called all this stuff out. So, unlike you, I'm not blocking anybody. I'm answering this stuff. And unlike you guys, I answer emails. I don't have any from you guys. I did get one from Gafe423. I answered it. I'm waiting on their answer right now. I'm not putting a mask on my face. And Gafe423 does sound credible. I do believe him to be Mexican. But I've got these questions, and the fact that we can't even have an open conversation about it, I'm going to button this up right now. The fact that we can't have an open conversation about it is indicative of a problem. And the fact that I can clearly have the experience that I have, and I get 0 emails back from any of these people, when I'm willing to answer the same questions when they're levied at me and in my direction, I come out and answer them immediately because I don't have anything to hide or make up. But none of these people will so much as respond to an email. And I'm saying something. I started saying something once Ed Calderon started talking to our politicians here in the United States with Dan Crenshaw. And then Katarina Schultz, 24 years old, 0 professional relationships in the Republic of Mexico with any major news agency or security or governmental security agency, organization, be it whether it be the Marines, the Army, the Secretary of Public Security, the Guardia Nacional. She has zero contacts with any of those people to substantiate anything that she says. Zero pictures of her with any armed cartels where they're out in public in front of their trucks like they love to post. And this chick's going to sit here and say that she's got exclusive access to the Cartel de Jalisco, de Nueva Generación, or whatever. The same people that I've actually confronted at work. Yeah, I don't buy it. Don Shipley calls out Navy SEALs. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that I'm a Navy SEAL, but when Don Shipley calls out people that claim to be members of his community, when I do the same thing, I get cosplaying. Fuck out of here, dude. Seriously. And the rest of you guys that I called out, I'm still waiting for your email. Hit me up, because I'll be very inclined to respond. Cheers. All right, so hey, I was just upstairs recording this. I was putting some yeso on a painting that I'm going to do. And I just recorded a big video on my camera right here that I'm downloading the stuff on the computer right now. But I was looking back through all of this guy's comments, and I'm going to stick this on as an addendum to the end of the video, because I want to make sure that I address all of this. This guy was exchanging with me, like I said, and I don't know how much I'm going to edit it, so if you guys want to fast forward through the video and whatnot, you go right ahead. But I'm going to start replying to some of this stuff because it's just so outlandish. This guy, Secret Bass Rigs, actually, he has a fishing lure channel. Wasn't going to say it, but I'm going to put it out there because he's got it on my channel and I'm not going to delete it. Why aren't you working in the U.S. anymore? Why aren't you working with Ed Calderon? Why aren't I working in the United States anymore? I am working in the U.S. I've been here since 2018 working. So, late 2018, working in the United States. I am in the U.S. Why aren't you working with Ed Calderon? Ed Calderon quit working before I did. I was there working after he was. In fact, Ed Calderon spent a lot of time between 2011 and 2015 flying all over Mexico and the United States doing knife seminars. So while I was at work carrying a machine gun, he was out doing training seminars in the United States, etc. And presumably that he stopped working around the end of Ozuna. I don't know exactly. He won't really be very specific about it, but he also won't give out his first or his maternal last name, so you can't really track the dude down to exactly where he was at, and he doesn't really have very much in the way of coworkers. So I want to make sure that I get all of this out here because I want you to have the answers that you want, because these are the same questions you're asking. I'm asking of Ed and other people, and I get crickets. So I'm going to humor you. Okay. Tortoise Lung, have ever previously applied to U.S. law enforcement? Yes. Yes, I have. I applied to the CIA in the manner of a half-hour phone call that I had with the CIA where she finally hung up on me, explaining my interest and intent to go work for them in foreign countries as an operative, and I was rejected wholeheartedly. The second time came in a roundabout way, stated that he, in an email correspondence that I had with him, had stated that I'm probably going to delete his name out of here just to avoid any lawsuits, but the person that was in I have to edit that part out because it's not my company and it is a company and it's not my name, and I don't have the exact email correspondence because I can't get back into that email account, so I can't prove it. But yes, indirectly I have applied for the DEA also, but I was living in a foreign country at the time. My phone number was given to those people. You're going to have to take me at my word on that. A lot of people aren't going to really like that. Nothing ever happened of it, and I've never worked for the DEA in any function or in any way in Mexico, or for any American governmental agency in any way in any country. Everything that I've done has been on my own accord, and that's that. Tortoise Lung, why aren't you working with Ed? I can't even get a phone call with Ed. I Facebook messaged Ed at one point in time on Facebook while I was still working, and Ed was setting up his Manifesto Radio and other stuff, asking who he was, because it was curious to me that some guy would be putting all this stuff out there, and I wanted to validate exactly who he was. So while I was at work, I Facebook messaged him. I don't have that account anymore. I've also called Ed at one point in time when he was living in Modesto, California, and we had a very frank conversation, and we did not come away being like super lovey-dovey. Some people want to capitalize on what they were taught and whatnot, and their, what's the good word for it? Their association with certain things. I'm not interested in making any money doing any type of security company, so I'm at liberty to say whatever the hell I want to say because it's not costing me any money that I'm looking for. So, you don't share information. So this guy's asking me again if I share information, because I answered his question just the same way I'm answering them for you right now. They're all in the comments on one of these pages. You can go look it up yourself. I've never had an opportunity to share information because I don't work for multiple governments. Never been that way. Has he acknowledged your claims of having known him personally? He's referring to Ed Calderon. No, he is not. However, when I go, and I'll put a screenshot, when I go to Manifesto Radio from my Instagram account, which is SSP, at Instagram, Secretaría de Seguridad Pública, SSP, and I go on there, I'm blocked. And the reason why I'm blocked is because I ask Ed uncomfortable questions. Or I don't know. Maybe some of you guys can ask Ed why he blocks me when I'm just asking questions that people want to know. What else do we got? Let's see, because I've got a whole list of them here. Tortoise Lung, your videos show you on a truck with one other guy dressed in black on patrol against who? Just the two of you against cartels in Mexico? No. Generally, in a vehicle, we're 6 people to a vehicle. You can look it all up. Everybody in Mexico works that way. And if you look at my channel from a perspective of the television, what it allows you to see, the main photo in the background is a picture of the vehicle that I'm always in, which is my general's truck, a picture of the Marines in the background. In Mexico, we patrol 6 people to a truck, 4 in back, 2 in front. So you got your driver, and the comandante, whoever the highest ranking person is, and then you got your sniper, which would be me, and then 3 other people in the back of a truck. Sometimes that does change a little bit, but that's basically it. And you're always out, almost always, not always, there are exceptions to it, but usually you try to go out with a minimum of 2 to 3 vehicles. Sometimes it's more depending on what you're responding to. And I've got pictures that I posted in other videos where we're out with the Bearcat, Elenco, and other armored vehicles that we have. Pictures of myself in it. Who are we fighting? At that point in time, we were fighting Cartel de Sinaloa, the Zetas, and Talibanes. Cartel de Jalisco de Nueva Generación. This is who we're fighting. So you're asking me these questions, I'm going to tell you. That's who. Okay? Let's see. Did you state it on other videos on my channel, but I agree. Let's not change the topic. Why are you trolling Ironclad live stream claiming they don't have... He's talking about Sam again. If I'm trolling someone, it's because I've got the experience that I have, and these people won't ever answer my questions, okay? And I'm trolling them the same way Don Shipley trolls people that claim stuff that isn't necessarily true. And then when Don Shipley asks them for proof, they fall short. Is that trolling, or is that asking a direct, blunt question? I'm thinking it's the latter. You can think that it's the former, but I've got my own voice. You got yours. This guy was also telling me I'm thirsty for somewhere he said it. Tortoise Lung, you quote from the live stream chat was, Dexter Lab is a grifter. Nah, he misstated that. I'm stating that Vincent Vargas and Katerina Schultz, when you haven't been shot at personally in Mexico, I have never, to my knowledge, accused Ed Calderon of being a grifter. He earned his uniform. I don't doubt that he did have one. I do doubt whether or not he's really Mexican. I've never called Ed a grifter. Vince and Katerina Schultz are both totally grifters. Johnny Mitchell, Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, they won't answer any emails and stuff like that, but they'll put these people on there to make money. And, you know, to be honest, I might turn my YouTube channel into a business. I might not. I don't know where I'm at with it, but haters are going to hate. You'll have people in high school hate you if you're too smart for being a nerd. They'll hate you for being a nerd. If you're too dumb, they'll hate you for being dumb. If you came from a shit family, and I'm not going to call my family shit. I don't think that of them at all. But some people would refer to their family life that way, where they're beaten, abused, or whatever, and they grow up and they get into crime and stuff like that. They call them a thug. You're going to have people hating on them for that. Bottom line, people are going to dislike you for a multitude of reasons, and it doesn't matter. You need to continue doing what you're going to do. I'm making my channel. You're not squawking Ed and all of his millions of views. You're not squawking Schultz or Vargas or anybody else, but you're sitting here talking about me and my little 93 subscriptions with my 20,000 view rate. Fuck out of here, dude. Don't want to cuss, but you bring it out of me kind of, and you kind of deserve it, man. A little bit. A little bit. And I'm not going to edit that out either. We're gonna do this. Let's see. Since you're responding, what do you think about the term useful idiots and the phenomenon of social media propaganda and unregistered foreign agents today? Useful idiots? I'm trying to combat that. I want people to know what they're talking about, even if I don't like what they have to say, which is why I'm responding to you. I believe in sunlight, hydrogen peroxide, and being honest and above board and everything, which is why I'm taking the time to be so candid with you, and I don't even know you. I just started responding to you yesterday. You've had your Fishing Lure channel for however long you've had it. I've had this channel since January of 2007 or whatever. I've been doing videos. So let's do this. Social media propaganda and unregistered foreign agents today. Have you ever seen the videos where the people are sitting there doing all of the news anchors sitting there reading from a script? A lot of it I have to assume is from Associated Press. But verbatim. Newscasters across the country all saying exactly the same thing. In fact, Joe Rogan's had it on his show before. I think that we're being scripted. I think that we're listening to scripts on YouTube and social media, to be honest, which is why I made my channel to begin with. I made my channel for you to be able to have one more perspective and then you to be able to make up your mind for yourself. I'm not telling you what to think at all. Anybody that wants to tell somebody what to think has probably got a bad message. Let's see. Let's go. I'm taking screenshots. He's taking screenshots too. That's great. Do you obfuscate Chinese transnational crimes? Use ad hominem attacks against those who point them out on your channel too. Okay, he's saying that he was kind of calling me a Chi-Com, and I don't even know what that means. I'm assuming that it means a Chinese communist agent, something like that in Canada. I think the guy's Canadian. I'm not using an ad hominem attack. I'm asking Ed Calderon, what is your maternal last name? Jonathan Campos, what is your maternal last name? So we can verify that you are who you say you are, that you served when you said you served. Katerina Schultz, how are you an international cartel expert when you have no vinculos or links to any major Mexican news agency or any Mexican governmental agency? And are you in Mexico on a tourist visa working, yes or no? Vincent Vargas, what qualifies you as a Green Beret or BORTAC to speak in any credible manner on the internal workings of cartels within Mexico? What are your sources? How do any of you guys have these sources? Ed with a Tijuana drug dealer that has cartel hitmen friends. You can go looking on an El Bordo podcast. I've contacted all these people. Katerina Schultz down there running around with no security. But post a video of you with them armed in a convoy and I'll shut up immediately. Right? Same with you, Vince. So yeah, I've got something to say about it. It's not trolling. It's asking them, ironically, the same questions you're asking me, which I'm okay with. Tortoise Lung, you blocked me in the Ironclad chat after someone said I should interview you when I don't do interviews. LOL, thanks for showing up here. Feel like I never blocked you. If you thought that I blocked you in some live chat, that's weird. Not my doing. I don't control Facebook or YouTube algorithms. And if I blocked you, I sure as hell wouldn't be taking the time to do this video. And I'm doing this video because I can't have you sully or tarnish my name. In fact, I didn't even want to do this video. I want to be upstairs. I had to go to the bank yesterday earlier. And I want to be relaxing and focusing on work a little bit, doing some stuff. But here I am talking to you. Because I got to make sure I can't leave a piece of trash in the middle of the floor without picking it up. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Block you? No, sir, I did not. Here I am responding directly to you. So, your videos are counter-narrative rants defending Mexican drug cartels. I don't like the word offensive because people, they can get offended. I don't give a damn. And if I was going to get offended about something, I'd get offended about that. It's disgusting. I put on that uniform and have several times not even known if my own co-workers were going to murder me. I was talking to one of the captains during my training, during basic training, telling me that they could take me in the desert and leave me for dead because you don't know if they're going to or not. You're in their home turf, not the other way around. And I told him flat out, you can break my bones, you can take me out to the desert and bury me, but you cannot make me quit. And so you're sitting here telling me that my videos are counter-narrative rants defending Mexican drug cartels. That's what I think about that. I've been shot at and have shot at people that were trying to take my life or take my brother's lives. I have been next to my general shaking a little girl's hand who I had a deep commitment, regardless of who that little girl was, to make sure that she was not given drugs the way I was when I was a child. A commitment, a deep personal commitment to make sure that I was going to be for that little girl when other people weren't there for me. So you saying that I have counter-narrative drug cartel rants defending the cartels when you've never worked for a government, by your own admission, sitting here telling me that your voice is like pigeon shit on the sidewalk. It's not even worth paying attention to, but I have to address it because you put it here. That's what I think of that. And I admit that my political view is a little bit leaning towards libertarian, anarchistic, self-sufficiency and this type of thing. Not all in all different than Malcolm X. I'm not going to apologize for it. We're all entitled to our worldview. That's mine. Do for self. I'm not Muslim. I'm not a member of the black community, but I do believe in every person being responsible for themselves. Most liken it to maybe kind of a mountain man, farmer mentality, but that's definitely my spin on things. Defending cartels? Definitely not. And the fact that you'd say that never even having been in a uniform in Mexico is it's disgusting. It really is. And I try not to insult my audience. I don't want to do that because I like to bring people to my side. I'm just not going to stomach that at all. Zero tolerance for it. You're desperate for views. I don't get many at all. I'm not about views, but for transparency reasons, can you talk to me? You can talk to me all you want here. I'm desperate for views. I kept a lid on my story for about 7 years. Didn't say anything about it. Have toyed with making a book a few times, but have sought zero attention until Ed Calderon started talking to our congressman. Now, if I'm desperate for views, I haven't paid for any ad promotions on YouTube. I've had this channel since January 7th and it's just now shot up, and I can post the screenshots of whether or not I've been trying to promote my videos or not. So no, I'm not thirsty, sir. I have 2 jobs. I have to pay back taxes because Their W-2 rearrangement, the way they rearranged it in 2018 or 2019 is different. Thirsty for views? No. I work my ass off. I have 2 jobs, and I do this on top of it and go to school. Thirsty for views trying to make a YouTube channel? Supposing I was. I'm well within my right just as much as Vincent, who is within his right, using his uniform, or Ed using his uniform to capitalize on it. But you're talking smack to me. Deaf ears, buddy. Your argument falls on deaf ears. If I'm looking for views or not looking for views, it's immaterial. Let's see. What else? You say you were in the Mexican military. Why were you ad hominem attacking their guest Cooper? Wasn't attacking Sam Cooper. And I've nowhere ever, not even once, stated that I was in the Mexican military. I stated that I was trained by GAFE. It's the same as Ed has stated. So, if you want to post a direct screenshot about it, and I've been through the live comments on it, I've never stated that I was Mexican military. Try. Your comprehension skills are lacking, and it's showing. You called me a grifter on Ironclad. All I did was talk about China's influence. I have zero interest in China and Canada. On this week's episode, Vince talks in, let's see, your supposed experiences on the Mexican border in the Mexican military, as you said in another comment on a different video of mine. No, I never stated that. And I told this guy to post a screenshot of it if he's got it. Never stated that. And my experience wasn't on the Mexican border. It was in the heart of northern central Mexico. Let's stay on topic. Let's talk about what happened live stream chat and the subject of Ironclad. I'm trying to... Ironclad viewers will get a real-life example of willful blindness in action. This is ironic. Willful blindness. I've been there, you haven't. Who's blind? Okay? That even goes for Sean Ryan and other people. They can have all the experience they want about Navy SEALs and whatever. I'm definitely going to study your content. I've been personally studying social media propaganda for the last 10 years. Again, wearing a uniform, it's not propaganda. And again, it's crazy that I get this much flack for just asking a couple questions to prove what you say and or respond to an email. That's it. And when they're not responding to emails and they're not proving what they say, but then I get all of this. And this went on for hours, literally. So far, your videos show you talking about working in Mexico and leaving the U.S., showing nothing substantive regarding your actual working for the Mexican government. But when I post pictures of my Carta de Comisión, pictures of my credentials, pictures of me at work in uniform with other members of the Mexican military and agents, pictures of videos of me out on patrol, all of this, which in any other setting would be considered evidence, but with this guy, it's not. And then all of a sudden it goes from that to where when I have other people with me, it's cosplay. This is the type of stuff that you go through. Why aren't you working U.S.? Okay, so I answered those other ones. So anyways, I'm going to try to edit this and get this knocked down, because even this, going through this stuff with this guy's channel, turned out to be 23 minutes long, just answering that. Not counting what I already recorded upstairs. Maybe I'll just upload the whole thing. I don't know. If you want to watch it, you can go ahead. But that's what I go through with this stuff, dude. And then I've got people that are on my channel support me, but whatever. I hope you have a great day. Cheers, man.